What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Fight Network's Downtown Studios. John Ramdeen alongside Robin Black. We saw a tremendous night of mixed martial arts action go down at the Air Canada Centre on Saturday night. UFC 206 was a home run. I know there's a lot of doubters out there because UFC 205 featured Conor McGregor and was in New York City. UFC 207, Ronda Rousey, Cain Velasquez, Dominic Cruz. Everybody anticipated this would be a flopper of a card. No George St. Pierre, no Daniel Cormier and Anthony Rumble Johnson, no Rashad Evans. One of the greatest nights I have ever seen in mixed martial arts.
Amazing, amazing. And if we look at what makes a great night of fights, we have to look at what we enjoy about fights. Why do we watch them? What are we doing here? And when you see those fights, you realize what we're doing here. It doesn't matter how many Twitter followers somebody has. And, you know, we're not there to see a famous person walk out wearing another famous person's expensive coat on a runway. You know, we're not there to take pictures. You know, people come to The Weeknd or Kanye to buy like $80 shirts just to be there. Oh, Kanye's in town. Let's go buy a $6 shirt for $80 to be in the room with him. That's not what we're doing here. We're here to see the beauty of combat. And going into it, a guy over at The Sun, Dave Hilson, wrote an article talking about how bad this card was. Yeah. And I was angry, and it made me rude. And so I want to apologize to Dave Hilson. Nobody's making me do this. I can get away with anything here these days. I'm just doing it because rude is unnecessary. And I went in to buy a stereo, and I don't know anything about stereos. And this guy that worked there made me feel so good about it. He was like, you don't need to know anything about stereos. You do fight stuff. I'll help you with that stereo, and I'll help you, Dave Hilson. If you want to learn about fighting, contact me, come in, let's talk, do whatever, because this is what we're doing here, man. The reason I was rude was because I was emotional and I was upset. You don't know about fighting. You just happen to go in and you write about what somebody handed you to write about. Let's teach you about fighting, brother. Fighting is the most beautiful thing in the world. It's this incredible art form, and when these two guys, and maybe you don't know their names, but when these two men or women get in there, they have dedicated their life to this moment for all of us, to have spectacular, emotional, physical, and mental moments in time in a cage that we get to see. And that's what we saw. And that place was full with 17,000 people. I don't know how many people bought it on pay-per-view, but everybody that watched that now goes, oh, that's what we're doing here.
Just so many great things, talking points to come out of UFC 206. Of course, Max Holloway defeating Anthony Pettis, stopping Anthony Pettis. Nobody else has ever done that to the former lightweight champion. Donald Cowboy Cerrone continuing his run at 170 pounds with another highlight reel KO as he sent Matt Brown into a heap. Fight of the year, fight of the decade perhaps, between Cub Swanson and the highly talented future title challenger perhaps in Doo Ho Choi. We saw Kelvin Gastelum stop Tim Kennedy. We saw a prospect emerge with Misha Serkinov and Lando Venata with the spinning kick taking out John McDessie. Just really, we got to see it all, and it's just one of those times in mixed martial arts you felt that you're in on it. People didn't know what they were missing. I got to give a shout out to our people here at Fight Network because there are a lot of posers in the mixed martial arts media, but our boy Sarge, Bobby T, I think Huffman and Paul Shaughnessy and whoever else decided to spend their own money, spend their own time to go and see this fight card because they understood exactly what they were going to see because they're in the know and they're real fight fans. And it's just great to be surrounded by people that actually get it.
And I was thrilled to see how much that audience understood what was going on. They didn't just need a submission or a heavyweight to knock out another heavyweight. They flowed with the music of that night, and that was a beautiful, beautiful thing. And the Canadians, man, part of the conversation is, well, what's happening in the future in Canada? Misha Serkinov is going to be a top 5 guy. And the thing about him is he still has a ton to grow. He's not a fully formed thing yet. That's amazing. His submission game can even improve, although he's, I think, among the best at 205 pounds.
You saw a sweep he did on
you saw that, what he did on the ground. And he still has a ton of room to be able to grow it with using his hands and his feet. And you see how high he can kick. The raw materials are there to make him a top 5 guy, or maybe he wants to fight twice next year. Maybe in the next few years, fight for a title. Wants to fight Shogun. This is what's happening in Canada. And Aubin-Mercier, That guy had a tough fight against a legit top 15 prospect, and he's never looked better. Canada looked good.
Jordan Mean also looked good despite a losing effort to Emil. We were calling him Meek. Apparently the broadcast team says Mick. Excellent prospect. He looked very, very good taking on a guy with so much more experience. And when you look at some of the things, the storylines that came out of UFC 206, one of them has to be Val Letourneau and where she fits in the UFC. Trying her best to compete at 115 pounds. Doesn't always work out for her. A very, very difficult cut. 135 pounds seems to be way too big for her. 125 pounds. Do you believe we'll see it sometime in the future or no?
You got 185 pounds in men, 205, and then heavyweight could be like 260. And the differences between those are really big for men. The difference between 115 and 135 for women is as big. It's huge. You know, Val Letourneau's a brilliant fighter, Canadian pioneer. One of the reasons that we talk about fighting in Canada as the George St. Pierre's and the Loiseaus and stuff came through, she was one of the pioneering women along with Sarah Kaufman and Alexis Davis. And I hope to see her get to fight at 125 where she belongs. But my last thought on it is, if you go back and watch it again, is just feel why we're here. We're not here because we've heard of somebody or because we saw what they said on Twitter. We're here for the beauty of combat.
We really did get to see it on display, the art, the creativity, the beauty, and the violence. I think everybody was satisfied that was at the Air Canada Centre, and if you happen to tune in on pay-per-view.